Oh, that's
G'day
you.
guys, Josh Huggett here from Joshua Huggett Media, and welcome to Talk, a show where we talk about stuff, and the stuff that we are talking about today is Andrew... I worked on that joke for so long.
Yeah.
So long. It's Keher, isn't it? It's just
No,
Keher.
no one
Isn't
can
it?
say my name.
I thought it was just Keher.
No.
was
Five letters that have ruined me throughout my life. Doctors' waiting rooms, classroom registrations. We're going to go alphabetically. Let's read the names out. Harris, Hogan. Yes, sir, that's me. And you stand up and you go and receive whatever it is. It's Keher.
That is
like the
wrong.
car, like our Prime Minister.
Do you like you've been lied to your entire life?
No.
That's not how it's spelled. I was so confident. I was on the drive here. I was like, I'm gonna make a joke because it's Kerr, and I'm gonna cough, and it'll be like Andrew, and that's the joke. But it doesn't work if that's not how it's said.
It's Keher to rhyme with beer, or if you're in school. When I was growing up, you'd find other choice words for it to rhyme with.
Kia, beer. Okay.
Just think, back in the 90s, before we were more politically correct and certain slur words were not used. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Great.
Yes.
Gotcha. I'm on. Also, just a warning to everybody listening. I had a root canal yesterday and I'm losing my voice. I have a bunch of soothers here to get me through. I've got 2 cans of Coke. But I feel like today, in all of the interviews that I've heard of Andrew, hopefully I'm not going to have to do that much talking, because if we can get Andrew on a run, he's going to enlighten some people. We've got so much to cover, and I want to start at the beginning, and I want to take you on a little journey from weddings through to like kind of where we are now, because you are a polarizing wedding photographer, and the way that you take wedding photos is so different to pretty much everything that's ever seen on the internet and, like that exists at the moment. But also all of the content that you create yourself and all of the new education stuff that you're doing is also so different to everybody. Like there's so much to fucking cover. But Andrew, first, can you tell the hundreds of people at home what you're doing?
The dozens, the half a dozen.
Dozens. All 17 of them.
First of all, let's just preface this. I haven't prepared anything. You haven't sent me any kind of notes. You haven't sent me any questions. I've worked with some of the greatest wedding industry podcasters of our time, and I like to think that I've finally met my match, because my lack of preparation is often tempered by the professionalism of the people that I'm appearing with and I'm working with, and they often see the weaknesses that I'm bringing to the table, and they make up for that. But what you've done today, Josh, is you've just told me nothing. Sent me a link, and then brought me online with up to 12 listeners who are going to be focused in on what we're talking about, and I haven't
Most
got
of
a
those
clue.
are me re-listening to it to make sure that it actually sounded good. But we get an average of 12 to 13 listens depending on how many times I listen to it.
Fantastic.
But I don't want people to come prepared. I don't want to be prepared either. I want our conversations to just be a sort of a natural flow, and that's why I don't market this as a podcast. I don't tell anybody it's a podcast, because I don't think it is. It's just It's talk. It's just two
having a chat.
photographers normally, literally just having a chat. Doesn't need to be too educational. It doesn't need to be too structured. I've got my skeleton. I've got some stuff that I want to go through. But if we go through one of these things, I'll be a happy man. Even if we go through none of them and we just gas bag, like when me and Summer's episode had no skeleton, and we literally talked for an hour and a half, and then we stopped recording, and then we spoke for another hour after that. I was literally on the phone to Summer for an hour today because you were asleep.
I know. I woke up to the missed calls. I on the verge of blocking both of you for being nuisances.
That's fair. Just put do not disturb on.
I think I have my do not disturb on 24 hours a day. But I woke up to see the missed calls, wondering what I'd missed. In fact, let's just put that on silent right now and turn that on over there. So I've already forgotten the first question that you've asked me, Josh. So if you just remind
Tell
me.
everybody who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name's Andrew Keher. I know it's a difficult name. I was advised many years ago to change my business name from Andrew Keher Photography to a more memorable thing like Little Dreams Photography or Blue Butterfly Wedding Photography. But
That is a good one.
you know, I stuck with it, and here we are. And 10 years later, I'm confusing even more people. So I'm a wedding photographer from the UK. I've been shooting weddings since 2013, I think, 2012, 2013. It's a little bit hazy back then because it was before the social media empire that is around us at the moment. We didn't really have much, so I can only go on old raw files that I've found on the computer. But round about 2012 is when I first became really interested in wedding photography, I suppose. Not even photography. I've never been a photographer. I was never really interested in photography as such back then. I had a really a different job in construction. I sat in an office all day and got shouted at by people over the phone. And one day I had a particularly bad day and I got shouted at, and I thought, I need to do something different. I need to be around happier people. So I went to a wedding that weekend with my cousin, and when I was 3 sheets to the wind, 5 sheets to the wind, I saw the wedding photographer having a lovely time in the corner of the room. I went over to him and I said, "Hey mate, this looks like a cool job. How do you do this?" And he was very gracious. He gave me a card and he invited me to his wedding photography masterclass. And that was the beginning in about 2011, 2012. And I have never looked back. I went full time about 18 months later. I've now shot something like 400 weddings, which doesn't actually sound like a huge amount over 10 or 11 years, but I've never been one to shoot a huge number of weddings. I've never chased the 60 weddings a year, 70 weddings a year, like some people seem to be able to do. I've always been kind of a smaller number, but spend a really long time on each wedding. So it's all worked out quite nicely for me. And well, it was working out quite nicely for me up until about 2021, when my booking started to drop off.
And I'll bring you back whenever I'm ready.
So a couple of years ago, my business was turning to shit around me. The bookings were not coming in. I was busy after COVID, as I think we all were. Weddings were moved, and we had a couple of really busy years. And during those couple of busy years, when I was trying to fit everything in, I pretty much stopped promoting myself. I stopped making an effort. I certainly didn't go to wedding shows. I didn't network with people. I didn't try and get on venue recommended lists. I didn't really talk to many other photographers. I didn't have a community. I was just working 24 hours a day, it felt like, and hoping that my photographs would do the talking for me. As I think a lot of... Yeah, someone's just knocking on the door. That's fine. I'm sorry about this, guys. It's very unprofessional. One second. Let me let the dog out.
That's all right. Well, while he's gone, I'll talk about today's sponsor, which is me. Come and join our paid community. If you haven't already, we have a paid community and it's really good. You can come and learn from me and we do stuff. Just talking about today's sponsor, me and my paid community and how good it is. Anyway, Andrew, back to you.
So, business failing. No self-promotion at all. And when you're really busy, you don't think about these things. You just think that everything's going to be okay. And it got to the end of 2023, just before Christmas, and I was finally calming down, and I look at the order book, and that's when it kind of hit me that for 2024, last year, I had 4 weddings booked in for the whole year.
Did you still have leads coming in that time? So when you were busy and you were shooting a lot and you weren't self-promoting?
I had the occasional lead come in, but I've never had a huge amount of leads. And this is all, in some ways it's down to lack of self-promotion, or in some ways That was always part of my plan. I wanted to be so specific in who I was trying to speak to, that I only wanted people getting in touch who fit a very small set of criteria. And then obviously next door's gardener has just started trimming the hedges outside my window. Let me just close this window. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm so sorry, Josh. I'm so sorry.
That's right. This is what happens when it's sunny in the UK. Everybody goes outside and does stuff.
It's like they just wait for me to get on a podcast or something, and then the whole street just decides that now's the time we're going to retile the roof, cut the hedges, wash the cars, deliveries. I'm sure I'm going to have 47 Amazon deliveries today, even though I've not ordered anything. So, yeah, so I still had some inquiries coming in, but I have always traditionally had a low number of inquiries, but they've always been good inquiries, and they usually lead to bookings. I have a very high conversion rate when I actually get to speak to my couples, and this all leads into something, I promise. However, what I wasn't doing is I was not putting myself out there. I wasn't putting myself out there. I wasn't showing anyone who I was. I wasn't getting the work out there in the new ways that were available to us online, on social media. And eventually it kind of came to a point where I wasn't getting enough inquiries to convert, but I didn't really stop to think about it until the end of a busy year. So I'm facing 4 weddings booked in for 2024, but I thought it's fine because January will come, and the big January rush, everyone comes to, this is in I don't know if it's the same in the southern hemisphere, but in the northern hemisphere, everyone inquires in January for that summer or the following summer. It's like they get Christmas out the way, and then they sit down. No one does anything in January in the UK. It's cold, it's miserable, it's wet. It's when my birthday is. No one comes out with me for a pint because no one's got any money left after Christmas. And January is the traditional time when couples will sit down and they start going through the shit they've got to deal with this summer.
We have the opposite here. As soon as it hits winter, inquiries and bookings will drop because it's cold and wet and miserable and there's no weddings happening. But when it's summer, or like leading into spring and people are starting to get married again, and you're seeing marriages all over your feed, and your friend got married and everybody else starts getting married, that's when all your leads will come up. So you'll be in the middle of peak season. You'll be working your ass off.
And that's when you get...
Everybody books all of their engagement shoots. Plus you're doing 2 to 3 Zoom calls a night trying to book in like fucking anything that's coming up.
That's interesting. It's always, speaking to some of my peers as well, it feels like January in the UK is when everyone goes into hibernation. They all sit at home, and that's when they plan the stuff that they're going to be doing that summer. So I was panicking, but I wasn't too panicky. I thought January will be fine. It'll happen. How's that for a mindset? It's just going to happen for me. I'm not going to do anything. It's just going to happen. Anyway, December finished with no inquiries, and I started to panic. I had a little panic, and I thought, right, I've got to start doing something. So 1st of January 2024, I thought I would test out these things called Reels, which had come out a couple of years beforehand. I had played around with putting some photographs on Reels as a kind of as a slideshow of weddings that I'd done, but there was no real thought process behind it. There was no point to what I was doing. I just had some pretty pictures and I wanted to show them, which is kind of has been my whole business plan for the last 10 years. Take pretty pictures, show them online, get work. Obviously that didn't work out, and I realized that I had to do more than just show a few pretty pictures to get the inquiries. So we started messing around with Reels. I started messing around with Reels in January 2024. I posted a Reel every day. I didn't really know what I was doing. So rather than worry about engagement or likes or shares, I didn't even know what the word engagement was from a social media point of view in January. I just wanted to test things. So I wanted to learn how the music worked, how the fonts worked, how how to fit things on the screen so they didn't get chopped off. And I spent a month. I posted a reel every day, mostly shit. They didn't do very well. In fact, I ended January with about 500 fewer followers than I started with. So I actually lost followers. I think I lost about 10% of my following after posting a reel every day in January. So a little bit disheartening when you put all that effort in, but I actually kind of enjoyed the conversations and the comments and the messages from other photographers. Now, bear in mind, for a long time, we've all got a few photography friends in our area who we've second shot with, and we've grown friendships with them over the years. But I didn't have a big online community of people following me. So to get messages from people saying that was really relatable, that was quite funny. I really like that thing you posted yesterday with the way you cocked the emails up and you were all upset about it. And I actually fed on this positivity because it was nice to finally have a little bit of back and forth with people. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going out of business anyway. What's the worst that could happen? I'm just going to keep posting this stuff. So I continued into February. I posted a reel every day in February. I posted a reel every day the next month and the next month. And then about 4 months into doing this, one of them started to get a bit of traction, and it brought in more followers and more comments and more engagement. And I thought, I'm just going to keep on doing this for as long as I can. And that was kind of the beginning of where I am now. So that initial experiment was born out of desperation, that something needed to change in order for me to get working, because the last thing that I wanted to do was go back and find a 9-to-5 job because my wedding photography business had failed. So I needed to try something, and Reels was the outlet that I found. And that's kind of the origin story of where it all began. Since then, things have changed, things have grown. I've grown a bit more of a community. I've realized that I'm quite good at identifying what other photographers need to do on their own pages. So I've leaned a little bit into education. Oh my God, I sound really boring. I sound so boring. Okay, let's reset that bit.
But you're doing good. That's
no,
good.
no.
You're not getting boring at all.
I was boring myself. Jesus Christ. So,
but I think so. But people find that so. Like, I get bored by my story because I've told my story. It feels like 100 times now, and it's the same thing with wedding photos. Really, like if you tell your own story 6 times, you already know the ending. Whereas most people that listen to this, if they haven't listened to anything else, they don't know what you're saying next. Same with like wedding photos and stuff, is that yes, it's boring for us to take the same 10 photos every wedding, but it's the first time they've had those wedding photos taken. So they're going through a brand new experience.
This is very
the people
true.
Listening to this, if they didn't listen to Summer's podcast, or even then, like I've listened to Summer's podcast and I've listened to you on other podcasts, and even me listening to it, even though I've heard the story and I know what's happening, I'd still love listening to it. You need to give yourself more fucking credit for what you're doing, Andrew. I'm
going to take you on a little tangent now, Josh. You knew it was coming at some point. I think this is why I keep on getting invited to talk on people's podcasts, because they know at some point there's little things going to switch in my brain, and I'm just going to talk now for 45 minutes, and it's going to take us down a very strange place.
We haven't even fucking started the forest bit yet. I'm so excited for that's a whole section that I want to talk about.
But part of the origin story was this. Well, that was the nutshell version. My business was going to pot. I wanted to try some reels. Everyone else was fucking doing them, and I hadn't done them. So I started doing them, except I hated trying to do them like the reels that I'd seen, where people would sit there and they would give advice and they'd point at things.
Those ones. Yeah.
And they'd say, yeah, and some of them were very valuable. Here's 3 things that you should think about before you book a wedding venue. Here's 3 reasons that this style of dress might suit this body shape. Here's 4 ways that you can rotate your body to the light to make sure you get a great picture every time. They're interesting and they're useful for couples and they work for those people. But I've always been someone, as I mentioned earlier, that although I get relatively few inquiries, when people get in touch, generally they are completely on my wavelength. And that means that when I talk to them, we have a great conversation. We talk about their wedding from, I feel like, a deeper place. We explore their actual desires. I try and get under the skin, and we chat away, and it's very linked to the people that I'm talking to. I think I bounce off them, and I feel where their energy is, and that's where we steer the conversation, and we get into it. So, sat in the forest with my dog in January 2024, trying to give advice to people that I'd never met, it was just too much for me. I came across it was very uncomfortable, very awkward. It didn't feel like me. My advice was pretty shit. And after doing this for a day or two, I realized that I couldn't do it in a genuine way. It didn't feel right. But what I can do is kind of poke fun at myself, and I can poke fun at the industry in a kind of, not in a mean way, just observations and a little bit of sarcasm and stuff like that. And that's what I like to do. I've got a very personal sense of humor. I do make myself laugh. I do laugh at my own jokes, and that's the kind of stuff that I enjoyed making. Obviously, from a business point of view, it didn't make any sense. I wasn't really talking to anyone in particular. I was just making myself laugh, and I was enjoying getting comments from other photographers. So that's what I leaned into. I enjoyed making other people smile, and I enjoyed people messaging me saying, "Fucking hell, I related with what you just posted there." That was my little thing that I ran with. So trying to do things the way that I'd seen everyone else doing them was not working for me. And then I realized that many months later that this has actually become my whole approach to everything that I do now. It's to find the part of me that enjoys doing this thing. It's finding the part of me that is entertained by what I'm doing. It's thinking about something that I would find interesting and doing it in my way, and not worrying about necessarily doing ticking the boxes that are going to make this piece of content super successful or super viral or a huge hit. I've always just tried to entertain myself and try not to make them too shit. That's kind of been my whole thing. And that has led on to the education side of things, because, I mean, you mentioned it before, the forest of noise. We're faced with so many people who are all making noise, and they're not doing it for the right reasons. I think it's not that they're doing it. It's not that they're doing it on purpose. They're not doing it purposefully to be wrong. They just don't think about it enough. What are we trying to do here? Why am I doing this? Why am I putting this piece of content out into the world? What's the thought process behind it? What am I trying to say? Who am I trying to say it to? I see so many reels, so many educational tips, slideshows from huge accounts, and they all talk about, this is how you go viral. This kind of content is blowing up. Do these 3 things. Post at this time of day. Audio. Use this trending audio. It's all hacks. It's all the stuff that doesn't matter compared to the purpose that you should find with what you're doing. I'm sorry, I'm rabbiting, but all that stuff that forms the vast majority of the explore page on Instagram for me at the moment. Anyway, when I go onto that explore page, it's constant hacks. It's constant how to get your piece of content go viral. That stuff is 5% or less of a proper strategy. A proper strategy is your why. It's why you're doing this. Who are you speaking to? What's the purpose of this post? And I think I got to a point where the wall of noise of people just telling me what time to post and who to tag in and make sure I do this and don't do that. I just naturally thought, no, let's try and push back against this in my own way. And that's why I set up my little educational thing, which is just in its infancy. You know, we're just beginning. I've done a couple of webinars. I've got one on Tuesday as well. And this is an introduction. I want to start getting people to think about their social media presence in a different way. It's easy to look at big accounts and see what they're doing and try to emulate that. But I think that people need to just look inwards a little bit more. What am I trying to do with this piece of content? The music and the time and the fonts and the app that you use to do it and how you film it is so much less important than why you're doing what you do. And that's been the direction that I've tried to take things over the last few months with this branding that I've come up with. Yeah, let me have a sip of water there, Josh. I was rabbiting there.
I say it a lot, and we're doing a social media thing in our community at the moment, and I tell everybody, if you can't watch your own content and enjoy it, and if you don't enjoy like the editing process, you know, like if you're sitting there like, oh, this stuff, like, why the fuck would anybody else want to watch a video? Like, if you don't like it, then why should anybody else? Like, I watch all, and this is so like narcissistic or self-indulging, but like, I'll go back and rewatch, and my wife thinks I'm a fucking loony because I'll do it all the time. But like, I go back and I'll film a podcast episode, and then I go back and watch it to see if it was any good. And I'll just like watch it from start to finish and make sure that I'm actually entertained by my stuff that I'm putting out there. Because I just feel like that my ideal audience for this sort of content anyway is me, is the person that I want. You know, I want to be watching my own stuff. So like, I'll go back and watch a YouTube video like 10 times, and I'll try to find little points in that video where I lost my own attention, and then be like, how can I fix that? You know, like, oh, I kind of got a little bit bored here. If I find my brain wandering off, like if I'm watching my own video that I made and my brain starts to wander, oh, how could I fix this little bit here? It's like when you watch, like everybody's now, they've all gone out and bought a 360 camera, because I have one, and I this, you know, everybody's got one now except for you with your little phone on your chest, which is still my favorite thing. But the difference in content is that like, I'll sit there and I'll rewatch my own reel like 7 times before I export it, and I'm like, is this actually entertaining? Am I entertained by this reel? Am I getting bored? Am I ready to swipe at any moment? Whereas lots of people won't do that. Like mine, you have key points in your reels. Like when you're moving the 360 camera, it makes a key point, and that's where you lock it. Most of my reels have got 40 to 50 key points of where I've moved the camera, whereas 90% of other people have got 6, and it's, or less. It's just like 1, and then they do this like weird slow pan. And like, if you're not interested enough in editing the reel that you'll put the key points in to make it look good, then no one's going to fucking watch it back. And it's the same with everything. There's so much into it.
I agree. I watch back the reels that I made in January 2024, and I can see now what I did wrong. There's too much build up. It's too slow. I don't get to the point. It's too niche to me. Why someone wouldn't get that? I enjoyed it at the time, but looking back on it now, I can still keep my personality. I can still keep my sense of humor, but I know where to tighten things up, and I know where to be more obvious with what I'm trying to do. And that comes from actually doing the thing. People need to realize that I posted a reel every day for pretty much three or 4 months. So I posted 100 reels before even one of them got traction. And it was only after the one that got traction, when I thought that I'd cracked the algorithm, that I understood how Instagram worked. And I thought, I've put the work in, I've posted every day, I'm finally getting it. It's finally starting to pay off. I'm getting the views. So the next day I followed it up with a post that explained that I'm a wedding photographer, and I also do this and I also do that. And it got fuck all views, no comments, no shares. And I went back into a black pit of despair about the whole thing. What is the point in doing any of this? It doesn't work. The algorithm is broken, because I got all these views and now I'm telling people I'm a photographer and no one cares. What's going wrong? But now I understand everything that I've done wrong. I do understand the process. I understand what I'm trying to do. I also understand why some of my content gets a lot of views, and I know why some of it gets low views. I am happy now that I understand the levels of engagement that come through, because I have full. Hang on, how do I say this? When I create a piece of content, I only have three different things that I'm trying to do with all of my content. Usually three different type of things. I'm either trying to attract new people to my account. I'm either trying to talk to the people who already follow me and build that relationship more, or I'm trying to sell my services. And each one of those three things has an enormous difference in engagement rates. And I don't know if you've seen this as well. But as soon as I figured this out and I looked at the data to confirm this, and I test it all the time, and I show people when I'm mentoring them or when they're in the webinar, the difference between a piece of content that is specifically and thoughtfully designed to attract new eyes on my account, and a piece of content that says, I have a webinar, would anyone like to join it? And I can put an equal amount of effort into both pieces of content, but the one where I'm actually selling my services will get about 10% or less of the interest of the one where I'm just trying to entertain people. And as soon as I realized this, I mean, that took 12 months of soul searching to realize. And I looked into it and I looked at other creators, and I bought some PDFs for $17 that gave me all the answers. And I bought some pre-recorded webinars for $17, and I absorbed all this stuff. I took the important stuff and I got rid of all the shite, and I realized that yes, this actually does all back it up. People do not like being sold to. They just don't like it, especially now when everything feels like you're being sold to online. We do not like being sold to, and we will scroll past it. We will not engage with it. And that's absolutely fine, because I'm only trying to sell a webinar place to one of 30 people or one of 20 people, or I'm only trying to sell a workshop to one of 10 people. I'm only trying to sell a mentoring session to one person for next week. So if it only gets 10 likes and 3 comments, that's absolutely fine, because I'm only trying to fill those slots. Whereas if I make a funny reel of something ridiculous happening, I know that it's going to get lots of engagement, and that's fine. The purpose of that is not to sell my services. I'm not trying to sell anything with that. I'm just trying to get people to look at my content. Then other posts on my page, if they can be asked, going a little bit deeper, that's where they'll find the content that is more nurturing. That's where I'm going to talk to them and tell them more about my story. That's why you have a pinned post at the top of your page that says, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I believe, this is how I work. Because you're taking people on this little journey. You're inviting them into your world with your content. Your content that we see online is an invitation for people to come and have a look at your stuff, go on your page, scroll through a few things, and if they like you, if you connect with them, they'll follow you, they'll start to engage, you start to pop up on their explore page, and that's the beginning of the relationship. And to maintain that relationship, you will occasionally have to come up with different types of content. You're going to entertain them, You're going to inspire them. You're going to nurture them. You're going to show some vulnerability. You're going to share your story. And not every post has to do everything. In fact, I don't think every post should even attempt to do more than one thing. I think you should keep your post very specific to what you're trying to do. And in the middle of all this, building relationships and attracting new people, eventually we have to pay some fucking bills, don't we? So what we do is we say, this is my work. I am a wedding photographer. I am available for 2026. Please get in touch. In whatever way you want to put that. But that should form a very, very small part of your online persona. And I think the difference between people with very successful social media accounts, such as yourself and Summer and other various people, some people who I don't follow, but I have their names saved so I can hate watch them at night and see what they're up to. They have either with intent or subconsciously have realized that they need to build relationships. They have to nurture the audience. They have to attract people. And then occasionally they will sell stuff. Even the huge accounts, the huge photography accounts, you will notice that in between the amazing content that we all love with the thousands of reshares and thousands of comments, they will often have a little branded post where they're promoting, I don't know, pick time or after shoot or wherever it is. And even the people with 300,000 followers and an average of 20,000 views on their content, they have little tiny amounts of engagement on those posts because that is their selling post. That's where they're actually trying to pay some bills. If it happens to the big accounts, it's going to happen to you too. But the problem that a lot of wedding photographers have, and in fact, most wedding suppliers that I stalk on Instagram, is they don't try and think about attracting new people to their page. They don't try and build relationships. They try to feed the algorithm. And the only way that wedding photographers really know how to feed the algorithm when they think, oh shit, I just need to post something, otherwise I'm gonna disappear off the face of the earth, is they post their wedding photographs and they say, every time, I had a lovely time at Tom and Sarah's wedding. If you're looking for a wedding photographer in Liverpool, please get in touch. And they do that every time. Every other post, it's one of those. And they don't realize it. That is a selling post. And as I've just explained to you, no one likes being sold to. And they do that over and over again for a year, for 2 years, longer. And they think, fuck me. Why have I got no engagement? Why does no one follow me? Why does no one comment on any of my stuff? And that was me from 2012 to 2023. I posted photographs. I told people I was a wedding photographer, and I hoped that the quality of my pictures would get the work. And it did for a while. But as we've moved into a trust-based economy online, especially for a luxury niche product like photography, people have to have a relationship with you before they invest in you. For the majority of things, unless you're lucky enough to come across a person with a lot of money, very little time, who's just realized that they were supposed to book a photographer 6 months ago and now they're about to get in trouble when they're going through the wedding planning process, and they find your page and go, right, he doesn't look like a lunatic, let's book him. But they're very few and far between. Most of the time you have to have a relationship with people. You have to give them an excuse to care about you. You have to show them who you are and tell them how you can help them, how you can guide them on their journey of being sad, wedding photoless people to amazing, happy people with amazing wedding photographs. That's your job. You have to guide them through there. And I see so many photography accounts who don't seem to want to talk about this at all. And I know it's a pain in the arse to start thinking about it because we just want to take photos. That's who we are. I just want to take photos and post photos and get people to throw money at me. I mean, that would be awesome. Unfortunately, there's that many of us The market is, we always say the market's saturated. The market being saturated is not the problem. The market is saturated with a particular type of person, and that is someone who knows how to use social media, is not afraid to post their life on social media, will keep their authentic personality on social media. The young photographers coming into this industry don't think that they can just post photos and get lots of money. They've grown up with social media. They make social media their personality, and they post those photographs on them, on the in the middle of all that personality, and it connects with other people getting married because they can see that person and they can build a relationship with them through the internet, and they say, yes, I want that person at my wedding. And the whole thing that I've been doing over the last few months is trying to show other photographers that they have to do more than just post their photographs. They don't have to go and dance around in the garden. They don't have to make funny reels constantly. In fact, they don't have to make funny reels at all. They just have to start showing a little bit more of who they are, what they're trying to do, why they want to do it, which is often something that people forget about. Why do they want to do it? And yeah, that's where I'm coming from. So I've had a lot of fun going through this with people, and even though I'm pretty much saying the same thing over and over again, it's having a new bunch of photographers who kind of go, "Oh shit, do you know what? I have just been posting a photograph once a week and saying I'm a wedding photographer, please book me." It's like the scales are falling from their eyes.
Just posted today. I just made a whole episode of Talk on content creation, and because we're doing it in the community as well, so it was fresh on my mind. And it's all about that, like Gary V's jab, 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 right hook, where you got to like give, and then ask, rather than just like, hey, book me, give me your money, come over here, come and book me, look at me, hey, come and buy my stuff. And literally, I'm pretty sure it was the Talk that just got released today. But I say that, like, we get marketed literally everywhere that we go. We step outside our house, the bus stop has ads on it, you're driving your car and the car in front of you has an ad on it, the Uber driver in front of you has an ad in the back of his car. You look at your phone and you're being marketed to. The last thing that anybody wants to see is just another fucking ad. And that's why people swipe so fast. And it's why I don't ever really try to market anything anymore. If I'm ever marketing anything, like I'm trying to market my little community, I just say, this is an ad and I don't want to do this. So you can turn away. Like, I don't want to try to sell you stuff. But I also tell people, like, just like you said, that you don't actually need to be posting that many reels and that much stuff on the internet to get to kind of where you need to be. People seem to be so caught up and strung up on, like, I need to post a reel every day and I need to be posting like 2 reels a day so I can grow my following big. But in reality, you don't actually need a following to be a full-time photographer. You don't need 20, 30. The more followers that you get, the harder it is, especially, and this is where you can lean into what happened to you, in that you were a wedding photographer and then you were selling wedding photography and you were doing wedding photography stuff. But then you started making content, and I made a big fucking point about this in the academy the other day. But like, if you are going to start making reels because you're like, that's what I need to do, that's what everybody's doing, and don't make reels about photography stuff or cameras, because you'll fuck your audience completely. That's why I'm so cautious with what I put on my account. I could pivot into marketing. I could pivot into education probably tomorrow.
Yes.
But I would lose my wedding bookings, and I am still just a wedding photographer. Everything I post on my account is weddings. It's just weddings.
The nail well and truly on the head. I did not have a strategy. I did not have a grand plan when I started posting things. I just enjoyed the dopamine hit of people finally engaging with my account again because it had been dead for a couple of years. And so I carried on doing that. I realized after a little while that if I didn't have an idea to eventually, to eventually move into education, mentoring, workshops, and using some of this to generate an income, I was fucked, because with the engagement and the reach and the account growing, all I did was bring in tons and tons of photographers to my page. So that has no bearing on my ability to book a wedding. It just dilutes my audience. So the problem that we have is, so I made the specific decision that I wanted to move into education. I enjoyed it. I like working with other photographers. I like talking to people. I like giving people my odd little theories about things and this whole stuff. But I had to make that decision when I got to a certain point. We have a problem that the dog's coming in. Big accounts on Instagram, and I'm not going to include yours on this because yours is actually an example that I use to other people on how they should be approaching it. Not in everything that you do, I don't agree with everything, but
yes,
the way
everything you hate zoom lenses.
We have a huge issue. We are photographers. We thrive on feedback and people liking our stuff. And so when we don't get engagement and people don't like our stuff, we have to look at what we can do to bring people in. And we look at big accounts that seem to be doing things right. We look at the funny reels, the relatable stuff. I've lost my battery again. I've dropped my camera. Should I format these memory cards or not? Oh, charging my cameras up before a wedding. And it all gets great engagement, and they have followers. And oh my God, they've got a brand deal off Sony and PicTime. So we think that to be successful wedding photographers, that's what we have to do. And I'm going to tell you the truth now, that you absolutely do not need to do all that shit. You do not need to speak to other photographers unless your business plan is to eventually monetize other wedding photographers. So the big accounts who post all this kind of stuff, and the medium-sized accounts like me who post lots of relatable stuff for other photographers, I'll tell you the honest truth if no one else does. I am specifically trying to talk to photographers. I want photographers to come and sit in my webinars and come to one of my workshops and book me for mentoring sessions. I don't really have an interest at the moment in booking weddings through my Instagram. I love shooting my weddings, but I have a different plan for that at the moment that I'm still working through. But Instagram, social media, all I'm trying to do is talk to other wedding photographers who might be a little bit lost in what they're doing and they need some help with it. And if you can help someone and you've got genuine intentions, and I'm never going to be a millionaire through education. All I want to do is be able to pay some bills in an enjoyable way that helps other people, that gets them to go, do you know what? That I did a fucking webinar with Andrew Keher and it was sound. You should go on it as well. He'll get you to think about your content a little bit different. And then the wheel keeps on turning and I can keep doing this and I have fun doing it. So why not? I'm not embarrassed to be moving into the education stuff. But I think that people just need to be honest about it. And I am honestly trying to talk to other wedding photographers. Big accounts who have the brand deals and seem to only talk to other photographers. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that, you know what? Maybe they don't book as many weddings as what you think. I'm friends with a few bigger accounts now on Instagram. And I feel like they're not all shooting 60 weddings a year in Lake Como. I think the people who are shooting 60 weddings a year in Lake Como are not dancing around on Instagram pretending that their camera explodes. They're doing things in a different way. They've worked on their marketing. They've worked on their relationships. They've worked on their their recommended supplier lists. They've got planners on side. What tangent am I going off on here, Josh? Yes, I'm talking about making relatable content for other photographers is not what you need to do. What you need to do is make relatable content for the people that you want to work with. And I know it's hard because we are photographers. We know all about photography. We can talk about cameras all day. We can talk lenses. We can talk about all the shit things that happen to us at weddings. And it's hard to think, how can I relate to the customers that I want to work with? How can I tell my story? How can I show them a little bit more about who I am? So ultimately, it's what would I do if I wasn't trying to talk to wedding photographers, and what would I do if I was trying to talk to clients? And how would I do it differently if I could go back in time to 2023 when things were going a bit pear-shaped and I started making funny reels? If I was going to go back in time and start really addressing the issue of not enough bookings, well, what you've got to do is start talking about what you love. What do you do? Why do you love doing this? Why do you work in a certain way? How could the way that you work work for a specific type of person? And I think that's what you do on your account. You show the behind the scenes stuff. You show the banter. You show your thought process. You do things differently to how I would do it in the actual shooting of the wedding. But the way that you display that stuff is absolutely fantastic. If someone can be arsed doing behind the scenes stuff, the way you do it is how I think behind the scenes content should be done. If I have to see another behind the scenes shot of a confetti throw with no context, no thought process, nothing that tells me why the photographer shot it that way, why it's meaningful to the couple, why he or she thinks the couple will really love that picture, why they decided to do it in that area. If they just show me the confetti toss and tell me that they used a wide angle lens, that's not talking to your couples. Your couples don't give a shit. Give them the story. Why are you doing it like this? What does it mean to them? And that's where I would begin. But I might not necessarily do behind the scenes footage from a wedding. I would simply, I'm a photograph photographer, if you know what I mean. I like my photographs. I shoot in a particular style. I know what I love. So I would very, very happily talk about my photographs. So yeah, people think that they have to dance around in the garden. They have to do crazy things at the wedding itself, but they don't. We are photographers. We create photographs that we care about, that we work on, that we love. So if I could get over the cringe of seeing my own face and my own voice, which I would have to, I would simply talk about the photograph. So I would have a picture of the photograph, and my reel for that week would just be the picture there. And I'd say, this was a picture I took last week at a castle in the Lake District. I knew that the light at a certain time of the day would come through on this section of the path. And I also knew that Sarah and John were not big on posing. So I asked them just to go for a little stroll through there. And I was hiding behind this bush here. And I knew that when they got to there, the light would shine on them and that would reveal this picture, which I absolutely love. Pose documentary photography to a certain point where I just give you a very slight bit of direction and then I create the art is what I do. If you'd like something like this, please get in touch. And that would be it. And I'd do it again with another picture the next week. And I'd do it again and I'd do it again until I had 50 or 60 videos where someone who lands on my page knows what they're getting every time and they could scroll through. They could get a feel of what I love, how I work. I'd use every post to describe a different aspect of my approach to wedding photography, why the couple loved that particular thing that I did. I'd use every post to convey something about my service, and I'd build up a little library on there over 12 months, and that would be all I would need to do. And it doesn't matter if I tell this to you and all 17 of your listeners go out and do the same thing, because as photographers, who we all work in different ways, we all have our own photographs that we love. We edit them in a different way. We see different moments. Some people will, like, I don't do, you know, the bridal party where they all look in a different direction, and some of them are sat on a chair and some of them are stood over there. I was part of one as a second shooter. I was helping, and it took about 20 minutes to set up. No, I don't have the energy for that.
20 minutes. I've done bridal party and couple session in 20 minutes, and they're
Exactly.
back inside.
So we all work in a different way. It doesn't matter if 10,000 photographers hear this and then go, holy shit, I'm going to do that. That sounds like a good idea. They can all do it, because every photograph is going to have a different story with a different bit of your personality, with a different bit of your values, the things that you care about at a wedding. I don't give a shit about editorial bridal party portraits. I do not give a shit. So you go and talk about them, and then someone else is going to have they like to do blurry details of the shoes, and they swing the camera around. It's not really my thing, but yeah, do that and talk to me about it. Because tell me why you shot it that way. What's the thought process behind it? What are you trying to do? I think that wedding photographers, I need a pint. I need a rum and coke here so I can get into it. But I think wedding photographers, we've got to the point that we're all chronically online and we're all connected to each other, and we're all, we all think that we all look at each other's stuff forensically, but we're all terrified of not impressing other photographers. Oh, I can't possibly post this because other photographers won't find it interesting. So the photograph of Grandad hugging the bride, we all get one. It's a standard picture. Maybe the lighting's not great. It's an absolutely standard but lovely picture that the couple like. And we think, well, I can't post that online, even though I like it. I can't post that online because it's not on a mountaintop. It's not inside a volcano. It's not on a glacier. It's not in a fucking sunflower field. There isn't an enormous, colourful firework display going off behind them. Other photographers are going to laugh at me because I'm posting a picture of Grandad hugging the bride, and I've got a voice, my little floating head in the corner is saying how much I love this picture. But, we all take pictures like that every day. They're just going to laugh at me. Do you know what? We have to stop giving a shit about what other photographers may or may not think, and speak directly to the couples who may not have been married before, may not know anything about the process, don't really know what they want. But you need to tell them what your values are, and you've got 6 seconds to do it. So they land on your page, they see something that interests them, they click on that picture, they're hit with Grandad hugging the bride, and the first thing you say is, this was one of the bride's favourite pictures because her dad passed away, and Grandad was going to walk her down the aisle, and this is the moment that Grandad saw them, and it was a fucking honour to capture this picture for them. In 10 seconds, you can set out your ethos, your attention to detail, the fact that that you found out this story or that you knew it beforehand, the fact that you were in the right place to capture it. You could mention that you didn't want to interrupt the moment, so that's why there's a fire exit sign behind them and a bloody fire extinguisher on the wall. You didn't want to interrupt the moment, you just wanted them to have that moment together. In 10 seconds, you can set out 99% of your whole philosophy to weddings, and you can ensnare your dream couple instantly. And it doesn't have to be a picture of, and the picture can be pretty boring, it can be pretty standard. It's how you tell the story of the moment. It's how you describe why it means something to you, why it could mean something to a couple. And that could be the difference between booking your dream client and just having someone backing out of your account because you're boring. Just don't be afraid to take your work, put it online, and imagine that no other photographers are going to look at it, and just tell the couple why it means something. And that's what I think. That's what I think a lot of us are missing in this industry. We show our pretty pictures, we say what a lovely day we had, we tag in all the vendors, and we just don't say why anyone should care. And I think if you can just hold that in the back of your mind, any photographers who are listening right now, just hold that in the back of your mind. Why should somebody care about this photograph or this piece of content? Yeah, what was I talking about? Oh,
We tell
there was
people to get content at weddings, like, so if there are people that are, you know, they're needing to post online, and it's very different being posting on social media, like you said, trying to attract other photographers because you want to go down the education route. I also think people need to understand that the education route isn't that much fun, and it's a lot of work, and not that many people make it that big. There are so many people trying to be educators, and some people are trying and are educators that probably shouldn't be educators, that they've got nothing else there. Like, they just started as an educator. They're like, oh, I'm going to be a photography educator, and now I'm going to learn how to be a wedding photographer at the same time. And people that have shot like 15 weddings and then they get one viral post and then they think they're going to become a photography educator because they made one viral reel. Like, just shut the fuck up and sit down. But making content for weddings and like to attract wedding clients, which is what I'm pretty good at. I'd like to think I make content about weddings and I attract wedding clients, but it also attracts other people. But what I tell people to do, so that we're not doing that salesy thing of like, this is me shooting a wedding, and getting past that shit reel that I hate so much, of like panning a little vlog of the wedding, and like it's a 2-second clip of like the sign, and then there's a clip of the couple, and there's a clip of something, and the caption's like, had so much fun at James and Sarah's wedding day. What an honor it was to be there. That's shit content. It's not, you got to go into it with the idea of like, how can I entertain someone? How can I educate someone? Or how can I get this shared to somebody else? And that's normally because of one of the two things. And that's why we do things like, here's the coolest thing I saw at a wedding today. And it's just like a cool cake topper. It's got fucking nothing to do with me, but it shows that I'm a photographer who's at a wedding. So I'm probably getting booked to be at that wedding. Obviously, I'm doing okay because I'm using my platform to market somebody else. And it's also a piece of content that someone can share to their friend who's about to get married. Or if someone is already married, they can comment on it being like, I had this and it was great. It saved us so much money. Or like, we had another reel that did really well and that was just a kid's corner. Literally just like a little kid's corner. And I was like, here's the coolest thing I've seen. And it was a kid's corner. And it was like just where all the kids could go and play, and they had a babysitter, and people were in the comments like, I'd never have fucking kids at my wedding, and that's fine. But it's also something that like most people are having kids before they get married now. I didn't think of this at the time. I just thought this was a cool thing that I want to share. But like, they can share that with their friend that's getting married that has kids, and like that way your account is getting shared to other people, and you're not having to worry about like making all this really cool content all the time.
It's almost like the last thing that you should be considering when you make a piece of content is the very simplistic view of, I just need to feed the algorithm, or I just need to tell people that I photograph weddings. You can literally think of anything else.
I think it's a sham. The algorithm. I think it's a sham.
Oh, the algorithm is a very, very simple beast. It takes your content, it shows it to a select number of people. If they engage with it by watching it for more than a certain amount of time, it will use its gubbins to show similar people that piece of content. The algorithm is not the enemy. The algorithm is not anything that's going to punish you. It's a warning indicator if you've made a shit piece of content.
That's my favorite thing, is when people are like, oh, the algorithm hates me, or oh, they changed the algorithm and now my content isn't doing well. It's like, no, you're probably just in a rut of making shit content. Like, I go through it all the time. I'm like, and I try to stop myself from saying it because I know it's probably not true, but it's like, Instagram's nuking me at the moment. I'm like, actually, I was probably tired when I made the reels and then made bad content because of it just didn't work, you know?
If you sleep on it, come back to that piece of content after a week, you can, and take your emotions out of it, you can come back to that and figure out in about 6 seconds why it didn't do as well as you think it might have should have done.
Fix it.
And fix it. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. You can reuse a piece of content. No one cares. I used to think that, Toby, I'm actually on an important call here. Shh.
Toby is the most English name for a dog I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Oh my God. Such a small dog with a loud voice.
So polite to your dog as well. That would have been a shut the fuck up. Shut up.
He's a good boy. We have this, or I had this fear that I could never share the same photograph twice online. For 10 years, I think when I go on my account, it says joined in 2014, maybe 2013. For 10 years, I made sure I never shared the same photograph twice because I thought my ego made me think that I would be judged by other photographers if they saw the same photograph twice. So not even a year later, 2 years later, I would never share the same photograph ever. Because I didn't understand how social media worked. I didn't understand how audiences worked. I didn't understand engagement and trying new things and testing things and gathering this information. I thought that as an artist, I needed to show a fresh piece of a fresh photograph every time I posted, or I'd get judged by the photography council. Now I'm saying to people, maybe not post the same thing every day, but give it a couple of weeks, and if there's a piece of content that you really liked, excuse me, dog hair, that you really liked, tweak it. Maybe it didn't do as well as you thought it should do. Tweak it, change the music, change the font, try it again. Just tweak one thing, post it again, see how it goes. And as soon as we start, when we treat social media like an experiment, it opens up so many more avenues for you. It's a great weight off the mind.
We got lots of people from that are new in the industry and
all right, okay,
just wedding stuff, and then we'll
nice new people who haven't been corrupted yet by the industry. If I can give them a word of advice, don't go on Threads.
Run away.
Don't read anything on Threads. It's full of miserable,
fuck Threads.
Negative people with no joy in their hearts.
I don't even have the Threads app. There was actually a post of me on Threads, and I'm going to keep this in here now. We're back live after our little break.
I think I saw a post about you on Threads.
Yeah, is that the one about how ridiculous it is how much people are charging for weddings? And they just posted my pricing.
No, It was a different one, and it said, sure "Has anyone seen the video by the well-known social media photographer?" And you were, oh God, what did he say? Oh, I wish I would have screenshot it and sent it to you. They didn't mention you by name, but it was pretty obvious what they were having a little whinge about something that you just said. And I didn't get involved because I'm a nice person and I don't argue with people on social media anymore. But it just made me smile because when they hold this negativity in their hearts and this feeling of, I feel like there's some jealousy involved because they believe that the photographs should dictate how big someone's soapbox can be. If you know what I mean, they think that you are the social media photographers, because it was also mentioned in general, social media photographers, because they produce content, because they have some followers, they always have, they have their opinions are worth less than our opinions because we're real photographers. We just whinge about everyone from our corner of the internet. And it just made me smile because I can see myself in those people. Where I was a couple of years ago, I was very negative.
That's a good pivot, because that's something I wanted to talk about, is how this isn't what we remember how we weren't recording. Well, we were recording, but it's not going to be put in here. And we were saying, we're going to go down this other path about how you shot weddings. Fuck that. I want you to talk about how you completely changed your mindset by starting to just leave positive comments because I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to implement it. I realized that I'm more of like a passenger on social media. Yes, I create a lot of content. Yes, I put a lot into it, but I'm a passenger. I'll see something and I'll really like it, and I would never do anything about it. Or I would send it to a friend and I'd be like, hey, this is really cool. But now I'm trying to be more involved, and I want you to tell everybody what you did so that they can then go and change their mentality about social media and the internet.
I mean, there's an element of it comes from hitting rock bottom, but relative rock bottom. You know, I'm still healthy, still safe, still able to go and get a 9 to 5 job if required. It's not the end of the world, but relatively rock bottom from a wedding photographer's point of view, which is to have hardly any bookings, no inquiries coming in, and thinking that the industry is against you. That's kind of the position I was in. I was very negative. I felt like my photographs, I felt like I was one of the best wedding photographers in the world. Secretly, you know, to myself. I would never say that. But I felt that, you know, as the best wedding photographer in the world, I should just be able to post my photographs and get bookings. And the fact that I wasn't...
Pause. Don't you have multiple awards? You were one of the top wedding photographers of the year in both 2018 and 2019.
Yeah, my golden years before I got really miserable.
So before you go and shit on yourself and saying you're not one of the best wedding photographers in the world, you were one of the top photographers of the year in 2018 and 2019 and a multiple award, 8-time TIR, this is Reportage awardee.
Yes, great. That's a great community. This is Reportage, run by a friend of mine called Alan Law. I did one of his workshops back in the day. Great guy. If you have the opportunity to go and learn from Alan, a lot of Alan's philosophy shaped my approach to weddings. I took, you know, like the British person that I am, I took the culture that I wanted and I left the other bits that I wasn't interested in, and I put it in the museum of my mind. And
so Alan's were one of the best wedding photographers in the world, especially
back in the day.
According to I have none.
But that was a different me. I'm not in any of the awards now. I got too miserable with it all. But my ego was my main problem. I thought I was better than I was. I thought that I deserved success. And I thought that just having great photographs would be enough to give it. And the problem with that attitude is that when you see people that your ego whispers in your ear and it says, you take better photographs than them. It's not true, because every photograph is great in the context of what you're shooting and where it was. But I used to think, well, my photographs are better than that person. Why are they fully booked? Why have they got more followers than me? Why are they constantly busy? Why are they talking at this? Why are they running a workshop? Why are they speaking at this event? It's not fair. That's what it would all boil down to. This is not fair. My pictures are awesome. And that is the mentality that led me to have hardly any bookings, because I forgot somewhere along the line that this is a business. If I wanted to just take great photographs and have people appreciate my photographs, then, I'd do an exhibition or something and stand there with the two people that came, me mum and me nan. And I'd show off my work, and that'd be great. And then I'd just treat it like a hobby. I'd be a hobby photographer, and that's not to say that hobby photographers cannot be amazing, because there's some amazing shit hot photographers who do it for the love of photography, which in a way is far more powerful than someone who's doing it to try and pay some bills. They have jobs, and they invest their money in their equipment, and they go out there and they take incredible images. So hobby photographers, that's not a slur. What I mean is that I need to pay bills, and I was treating it more like a hobby. I was showing people how good my photographs were, but I wasn't doing anything to back that up. I wasn't getting my business out there. I wasn't treating it properly. I wasn't promoting myself. So anyway, I had this really swirling negativity toward the industry. I didn't like people. I didn't like big accounts who were doing better than me. I certainly didn't like young, upstarts like Summer Grace,
You
popping
can say
up.
her name here. You can say it in vain.
I'm sure she won't be listening. I didn't like these young people with their crooked photographs and their blurry details and their effortless posing in New York apartments with their green tinted shadows and their grain. I didn't like any of them. Who were they to come in and start taking over the industry and being popular and selling presets and stuff? I'm the big deal around here. This is my ego, by the way, that's shouting at me. So I was just miserable with everything. But it's hard to kind of remember when I tried to flip the mindset. But something that I'd read when I started to make these reels, and I realized that, do you know what? I actually don't want to go and find a 9 to 5. I really want to try and make this business work. I really want to actually shoot weddings again, and I'm good at it, and I want more of that. So I need to do something. There was probably a light bulb moment where I thought, if I don't do something right now, or at least make a start, I might as well sell the cameras, because I've got no money coming in, and I need to pay mortgages and feed the kids, feed the dog. So something that I'd read was to try to replace this negativity with positivity. And it sounds so lame, but every time I had a negative reaction to something that I saw online, if it was possible, so on a website blog, for example, when we used to look at blogs and leave comments underneath them, but now it's moved on to social media. So when I saw something that was triggering, someone's cool photograph, someone's behind the scenes, something that made me have a dark thought about the industry, I would write a nice comment, and I would try and be genuine, and I'd say, I actually love the connection that you've got here between these two people, or I really love the light here, or this behind the scenes was so cool. How did you shoot that? And it was a little bit forced at first, but bear in mind that in January 2024 and the months after that, is no one really knew who I was or cared who I was. I was just some random dude who was leaving nice comments. I probably looked like all the other people leaving nice comments, but they were forced comments. I was trying to be nice. But as I did this as an exercise, I eventually, people would reply, and they would heart stuff, and they'd leave nice comments on me, and they'd follow me back. And just after a few weeks of doing this, it kind of didn't, I don't know when it changed, but it wasn't so much of a forced exercise. This was something that I actually started to enjoy. I watched people's videos, I looked at their photographs, and I left nice comments. And there was that shift from negativity to positivity, and that was just part of the whole thing. But doing that for a year, making these videos, relating to other people in the industry, I realized that everyone is just trying to do the best that they can do. We're just trying to get the bookings in. We're trying to make our couples happy. We're trying to keep our heads down and be happy in life. And I realized I was getting mad at people for the wrong reasons. It was no one else's fault that my business was failing. It was entirely my fault. It was entirely my ego. And this revelation, small revelation, Toby, please. Oh no, he's going to go mad again. The kids have just come home. I'm so sorry to Josh's listeners again. I might as well just have a revolving door. I've 17 people watching us here. I'm online to Australia. Beautiful girls. Identical twin girls. Who went viral in 2012 before TikTok was even a thing. That's another story. Oh, that was actually the reason that I quit my full-time job. That's a whole other thing. I'll tell you about that in a sec. So this negativity into positivity, it started as a little bit of a thought exercise. It was probably in a book that I've read. I've got a couple of books on negative mindsets, and the one that springs to mind is the chimp paradox, I think it's called, where we have a fucking chair's falling apart. Hang on. Jesus. Anyway, negative mindset, Josh. into a positive mindset. That's what we're all about. So when I realized that it was my ego that was creating the problem, and I started to leave nice comments, and I started to open myself up more towards how other people worked and different styles of photography, stuff that would trigger me in the old days. I realized that there is no wedding community as such. We're just individuals who are trying to do their best in their own little way. There is no rule book. There is no, we didn't sign up to a convention on how we're all supposed to work. So there's no point in getting mad about how other people do stuff. If it's making you mad, take that bad feeling and try and work out what it is. Why is this triggering to me? So you could make one of your reels and say, I don't know, what could you say that triggers me? You could say that you don't
like the 24 to 70.
That you don't like the 24 to 70 as a wedding lens. So the old me might say, well, I don't like the 24-70 either. I've got it as a backup, but it's too heavy.
I don't like shooting with the 85 1.2 anymore.
See, I've never used a 1.2, 1.4, my maximum. I'm on a budget. But the old stuff that would trigger me, that would make me argue with you, now I just enjoy the fact that you are expressing yourself in your own way. Is there something that I can learn from this? That the way you've expressed that, can I learn something about the music that you've used, or the timing, or the font, or the way that you interact with people on the day? If I use everything as a learning exercise, suddenly I'm not being led down this negative path that makes me go onto threads and go, have you seen the latest post that Josh has made where he talks about he doesn't believe that documentary photographers are a real thing and that everyone poses to some extent. It's like, instead of doing all that, let's look at it from a business point of view. What's he actually doing here? He's generating some comments. Fantastic. Can I do that with something that I believe? Well, let's have a look at it. I can use my primes. I can talk about the way that I use prime lenses. Maybe I get too close. Maybe I get in the way of videographers. How can I make that into a positive? And I'm rambling now. But anyway.
As a documentary wedding photographer, do you think there is a way that you can take completely documentary wedding photos? Or do all documentary wedding photographers have to do some sort of at least slight posing?
So, again, this is a discussion that is triggering for people who class themselves documentary photographers, but it's not triggering to me at all, because I call myself a documentary photographer, and I see loads of people complaining on threads now about people who call themselves documentary photographers because everything is posed, really. But it's just fun to me now, because parts of the day you have to set up slightly. But I can still work in a way where 95% of the day I don't get involved at all. I have done weddings.
But even my days are that. I'm mainly a documentary wedding photographer, but that's not what I put because that's not what and I tell all my couples, I'm like, the only times that I actually interject in the wedding day are the parts that I need to. Like, if you've got a big rowdy bridal party and we need to get some bridal party photos done quickly, I'm going to interject so that it doesn't take up the entire day. But the getting ready section of the day, I'm documenting. The ceremony, I'm documenting. The reception, documenting. Couple session, 95% documenting. Go for a walk and then come back and look at each other, and I'll just take photos of
I think that there's a lot of photographers hate to think about it, but we're actually all quite similar. There's a vast amount of overlap. I've seen photographers who are posed, and they will set up lots of the day, from getting ready to the ceremony, making sure everyone's going to stand where they're supposed to stand, to talking about doing a dip when they walk back down the aisle, to going into group photographs, to having posed candids of people having cocktails, but they will stop each individual group and say, can you two look at the one in the middle, and the one in the middle laugh, and then I'm going to take that photograph, and then they'll walk on. So they've approached that from one extreme. But I think that those people are as rare as the ultra documentary photographers, who do exist, by the way. I've got a friend, well, I know a couple actually, but there's a chap called Andrew Billington who is, I would say, if I'm 95%, he's 99% documentary. When I first met him, we were chatting about it, and it would be to the point where if there was a shopping bag in the background of the makeup, you know, he wouldn't move it. He would shoot as it happens. And but even he will still ask the couple to go for a walk. He just won't pose them. He will literally just give them a direction to head in, and he will work around them there. And that's who he is. That's how he's built his own wedding photography identity. And that's
Is this
absolutely fine.
Billington photo?
Yes, he's a good man.
Looking at it now, it's quite nice.
But he's much more documentary than me. So they do exist. But it's all just how we present ourselves to the world. Like a modern art museum with a banana taped to the wall. If you taped a banana to the wall in the street out there, no one gives a fuck. But if you tape a banana to the wall in the museum and you put a little card on the wall that says, this banana represents the yearning for freedom of all of us as we are stuck in our own ways with adhesive tape. And if we can't free ourselves from our adhesive bindings, we're going to rot away eventually. The banana represents freedom. And it can be a load of bollocks, but that's what the card says. It's in a museum, and now it's worth $1 million. So you can shoot in whatever way you want and call yourself whatever you want. It's between you and your couple. So I call myself a documentary photographer because the vast majority of what I do, I try to make it as natural as possible. I don't pose my couples too much. Only if I feel that they are feeling especially awkward, I will help them with a few little things. But if I can get away with just asking them to walk somewhere, that's what I'm going to do. I will never ask a guest to do anything. I will never stop anything from happening. I make a point. I mean, even I probably destroy the documentary illusion, what is documentary, by saying to the bridal party in the morning, I have a little meeting with them for 5 minutes, and I say, today, this is a documentary approach to wedding photography. You are the bridal party. You are the groom's party. You're the VIPs. When we go through the day, I do not ever want you to stop what you are doing if you see me anywhere near you. You have to forget that I'm there. I might come behind your earlobe. I might be crawling around on the floor. I'm going to be right up near you, and I want you to pay no attention to me whatsoever. I want you to carry on. Because as the bridal party, we have this chance to have a chat, but I won't really have a chance to speak to the rest of the guests. But if they see the bridal party not reacting to me being around, it usually rubs off onto the guests as well. So I can then move through the crowd and get the stuff that I need to get. So, but is that destroying the illusion of, is that destroying the documentary feel? Because I'm telling them not to react to me. Is that going against their natural instincts? Would they have acted in a different way if they'd have seen me there? We can never get pure documentary because I'm not in a camouflaged hide at the side of the venue. I'm actually up close, which is also, that blows some of the newer photographers' minds. They think that to be a documentary photographer, you should be on a long lens at the back of the room, off to the side where people can't see you. But I get really close to people. I move through the groups. I get right into people's faces on a 24mm lens or on a 35mm lens, but I do it quickly. And I use the back of my screen, which would, get me crucified on Threads or on TikTok. They don't like to see photographers using the screen. And I use that, and I pretend that I'm looking somewhere else, and I will take that photograph, and then I will walk away. I never kind of hover in the same place. And I don't know what style that is. I really don't, because we are all just our own individual people, and we shoot in a certain way. We just try and make sense of what we do, and we package it in a certain way that we think will resonate with our ideal couples. So really, it's not the style of photography that I'm shooting. It's what am I saying to attract the people who are not narcissistic. That might be too strong of a word. I don't want couples who make the day about themselves. No, that doesn't work either because it's their wedding. I like working with people who are slightly self-conscious, who might feel a bit awkward in front of the camera, who want to have a lovely day with the people that they've invited and to remember this moment and this time in this place with their loved ones, and that's what's important to them. That's a certain type of couple. In my town, in Liverpool, we have a lot of couples who are more kind of, I don't know what the equivalent would be in Australia, but it's like, Jersey Shores, that American show. Is it Jersey where they're all fake tanned, big hair, big everything else?
Egos.
We
strapped to their chest.
We have a large element of that in our city. So weirdly, I know
Chavs.
I don't.
Are they called chavs? What are they called?
Chavs is too strong. They're lovely people. They're lovely people.
Okay.
They have expectations of what they want, I think, and you become less of a creative force. You become a box that's ticked, and you have to work in a certain way to fulfill their wishes. I hope I'm explaining that right. But anyway, I don't shoot a lot of weddings in my own city because of this, because of the photographs that I show and the words that I use on my website and how I speak to people when I meet them. I usually 9 times out of 10 end up working with slightly self-conscious, slightly awkward couples, usually young professionals who have a bit of money, because I do go to nice venues, but the money still means something to them, so that when they make these big purchasing decisions like a photographer, they want to make sure that their money is going to the right place. So I don't really work with wedding planners either. I get thrown when a wedding planner gets in touch with me and they say, I have a client who's getting married in Italy, or I have a client who's getting married in London. Please forward your portfolio and your best prices. And I'm like, no, fuck off. If they want me, please tell them to get in touch. And here's the thing. And most wedding planners will not bother. But one wedding planner did pass on my message last year, and I worked with a lovely couple in Manchester. Big wedding, over 300 guests. But they were my ideal couple. They were fabulous. And they must have been my ideal couple for when the wedding planner gave them this information back. And instead of saying to themselves, well, this is why we've got a wedding planner, they went, oh, no, absolutely, we'll get in touch with them. We'll have a video call. So the wedding planner wasn't too happy about it because I've circumvented her sphere of authority. Circumnavigated? I don't know what the word is.
Circumnavigated?
I think I'm just
That's
making
what you
words
guys
up.
did to Australia when you came over.
I think
to
so,
your
yeah.
business.
So it's all about how you present it. So the style is not important. And honestly, this leads into the branding, into the content that I rabbit on about, into the webinars. It's not so much what you do. It's the story that you're trying to tell and the people you're trying to work with. So if a documentary photographer, it's just a word. If you just said, I'm a documentary photographer, that doesn't mean anything to most couples. But what we usually do is we say, I'm a documentary photographer. This means that for the vast majority of your day, I want you to be present with each other. I want you to enjoy each other's company. I want you to be having a great time with your guests. I want you to be on that dance floor partying. I don't want you to worry about your day being a photo shoot. Fantastic. I'm going to scare away 90% of the people in my city, but I'm going to attract those people who want that stuff. And that's why I call myself a documentary photographer, because it's kind of, it kickstarts the next part of that sentence. I am a documentary photographer. This means that's what I do. I'm an editorial photographer. I'm a whatever.
Funnels and sieves with I do it when I'm teaching like website building and actual branding in general, in that we work with a big funnel that is our website. So like our social media is our magnet or our fishing net that we're going to throw out there and try to get as much eyes as possible on our brand. And then we bring those eyes to our funnel and we put them in our funnel, which is our website. Yeah. And everybody lands at the top of the funnel. And then our job is to remove as many people as physically possible by the time they get to the bottom of that funnel, so that only the most qualified of leads will make it to our contact form. So that means that's why I have like fuck written on the top of my website. It has photos of me in shorts and a t-shirt. It's got photos of me drinking with my couples. It's got like reviews, and like we funnel all these people out. They make their way down through the sieve, they come out, and then right at the bottom, we're going to get our ideal clients. And that's the same thing with like, oh yeah, I'm a documentary photographer. That means I'm only going to do X, Y, and Z. I don't think I would have a name for the photographer that I am. I'm just a wedding photographer. Like I just take photos at weddings.
I don't even know what I have on my website anymore. But I wish I'd come to your marketing. Yeah, I'm a documentary wedding photographer. I do have that in the small text further down. But I wish I would have come to your marketing, because what you've just said sums up where I failed. Because my system subconsciously, or well, no, not subconsciously, I was trying to scare people away, but I was trying to filter out as many people as possible. However, I was missing the part at the beginning. In order to filter out as many people as possible to get to the ones who are going to book, you actually do need to chuck quite a few people into the funnel in the beginning. And the problem I had, I was all filter and no funnel. Hey, you were like a
cork.
Yeah, my ego was the cork at the top of that bottle, keeping everyone out. So the few people that did land in and managed to get the way to the bottom, somehow managed to get 10 people might have fallen in, whereas really I need 10,000 people to fall in to find my 20 or 30 couples that I need for a year.
Did you have pricing on your website?
I did. I think I have pricing on my website now. I've had it on, I've had it off. I honestly haven't found it to be effective one way or another. I didn't have enough data to work with, because I wasn't guiding enough people on the path to look at my website anyway. I completely fucked it up. What I needed to do was, instead of spending my money that I got from the government during COVID, instead of spending that on a new camera and a new website, I should have bitten the bullet and given it to a recommended marketing person, and said, can you just have a look at what I'm doing and tell me where I'm going wrong? And the first thing they would have said is, well, you're not fucking promoting yourself anywhere. You're posting your photographs and hoping, and hope is not a strategy.
But there are so many people that are doing that. There are so many people. I would argue 90% of people that are a wedding photographer or want to be a wedding photographer aren't marketing at all or enough. That they're thinking that they need to post reels because that's how you get eyes and that's how you book clients. But in reality, like we talked about before, the people without the following, the people, like when we ran Joshua Huggett Media here in Adelaide, which is one of the smallest cities in Australia, we had 36 photographers. We were shooting 125 weddings a year, and we had 2,500 followers on Instagram. But what we did have was a proper targeted Facebook ads campaign, and we were in every single local Facebook wedding group being like, hey, we'd fucking love to be there.
I'm sure this has been mentioned on one of your talks before, but the issue that we have is that online, on Instagram, I don't go on TikTok, so I don't know how it works over there. But on Instagram, the people that we see, the accounts that we see, are the accounts that are that are doing something successfully in order to be seen by us. They are talking to other photographers. They are posting funny, relatable stuff that gets seen by other photographers. The people who are booking out 40 to 50 weddings comfortably every year with perfect clients and all the rest of it, they are never going to be seen by us generally, because they are marketing to their clients. The stuff that they do is for their clients. You have to know who they are, and you have to be able to go and find them. And it's a weird kind of catch-22 situation, because it's hard to go and see who are the people doing things properly, because they're not the ones who are showing up on the explore page. They're the ones who are marketing themselves properly. They've got targeted ads. They've got recommendations from venues. They put the work in every other dimension. Social media is a different beast, and especially that explore page on Instagram. That explore page on Instagram is designed to drag you in, to drag a photographer in. It's not designed to drag a client in. It's stuff that we don't see. It'd be nice if we could go onto one of our couple's phones and say, can I just have a look on your Instagram explore page for a second? And you'll click on that and you'll see a whole different world of what the client sees. And the good photographers who do things properly are the ones who are showing up there, or it's the venue that's showing the photographer, or it's the planner who's showing the photographer's work. So all we are subject to is the noise from the forest of noise. Dun dun dun. That's all we see, and it has tuned our brains into thinking, especially new photographers coming in, shit, I need a point of view camera, I need to get on TikTok, and I need to start doing crazy things and telling jokes about what happens on a wedding day. It's like, no. You have to, the more that we are online and the more that social media is dominating everything that we do, it's actually the old ways of marketing and relationships and speaking to vendors and getting in through other doors and finding those opportunities that's going to work to actually put clients.
So far backwards when we were running like proper studio that everybody was doing reels, everybody was pointing at the sky, and I did a couple and I was like, this sucks. I was inquiring on like bus ads and fucking billboards. I was like, how far back can I go? Like, everybody's going this way. What can we do to go the opposite direction? Can I put a wedding photo on the side of a bus that's just going to drive around the area of where I think my ideal couples in Adelaide are going to live? Like, Can I get it here? I was looking at fucking, you can buy ads on treadmills. So when someone's at the gym and they're getting wedding fit, or they've just gotten, this is where my fucking brain, I went on a whole thing. I was like, they're on the treadmill because once you get married, you give up. But pre-married, you're looking up.
I actually can't argue with you there. That's
but
my
like,
problem.
I was like, I'll put it on a fucking treadmill. That way they're sitting there on the treadmill. They're going to see my wedding photos. They'll have their phone there and they'll be able to go that way. My favorite thing is when I see somebody else's wedding photography ad, because I know that they're not doing it properly because I'm already married. Ideally, no other wedding photographer should ever see any of your ads for wedding photography, because that is a wasted click. You paid for somebody to see your ad that shouldn't be seeing your ad. Unless they're engaged, there is no use of them seeing your ads, especially if you're spending money on them.
The untargeted Facebook ads is usually my favorite. Untargeted Facebook ads that I see constantly for wedding photography. And they're usually, I like to consume stuff and I like to try and gather information and data because this is what I want to do going forward and help people. So I actually spy on the profile a little bit. I go down a little rabbit hole and I look on their Instagram and I go for a little thing. The people who do untargeted Facebook ads to that extent are also the people who have an untargeted approach to social media. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They don't have inquiries coming in because they're trying to sell with every post and no one gets in touch with them that way. So they think, shit, I need to get my work in front of people because this is not working. No one's going to my website. So they will throw money at Facebook ads, but they treat Facebook ads the way that they treat their social media strategy. Untargeted, speaking to the wrong people. That's a great indicator of someone who needs to stop throwing money at stuff and sit down and work out what are you trying to do and do things a little bit better. And the mad thing is that there doesn't have to be these grand sweeping changes. You've just got to invite people to come into your world a little bit, show them what you do, and that you're good at it and that people trust you to do it, and tell them why it matters. And you've just suddenly given yourself a much better chance of someone actually making the effort to click on your link and look at your website and send you a message. Yeah, untargeted
So
Facebook
much
ads
of
is
it
a
was
great one.
done in like, well, the Facebook
I love
groups
that.
are the best. Those Facebook wedding groups are the just, you can make so much money in these groups, and people don't understand that there's like every and I reckon I've said this on like 6 podcasts now. So the best bit about being an educator and educating and talking is that I could literally sit here, and I have sat on podcasts and on YouTube videos and told people exactly how to run a multi 6-figure wedding photography business from scratch. This is exactly what you need to do. These are the exact steps that you need to do. But 98% of people just won't fucking do it. And that's why you keep saying, you can keep saying the same thing, because no one's going to fucking listen. But if you're in these Facebook groups, every town has a Facebook group. You know, fucking Adelaide, we've got Adelaide Wedding Chit Chat here. There's Melbourne Brides in Melbourne. There'd be fucking Ipswich weddings or whatever. Like, there's always a wedding photography thing, and there's always people in there asking for wedding photographers. We would just comment. I had notifications turned on my phone, and I would copy and paste the same thing. But all of the older photographers, and I fucking love watching these old cunts fall out of the wayside. But like, I reserve the C word for special occasions. It's not
Okay.
I don't bring it out that often. But I'm loving watching them all kind of like fall into threads and whinge and complain. And they're always the ones, like you said, they're there like, we're real photographers, you know, blah, 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 blah. But then you've got people like Daria, who was on last week, whenever her episode airs, but like from Rosemary Studios. And she's just like a young girl. She's 20-something, Summer, 20-something. And they're out there and just fucking killing it and getting rid. And this is why people got so mad at me when I first started. I remember when I came into the industry, because I went and did everything completely different to what everybody else was doing. These Facebook groups, everybody would just write, would love for you to see what I can do, and then post a link to their website. And that was it. And so I was like, there is no other industry in the world where your client, the people that you want to buy your product, come to you and say, can you please market to me? I'm looking to buy this thing. Can you show me your ad? And everyone was just like, I'd love for you to see what I can do with their website.
I'm
So I was
available.
like, fuck it.
Link.
Yeah, I'm available website. So I made a paragraph, and I was like, congrats on your engagement. Welcome to wedding planning. You know, it's the most fun, stressful, and expensive time of your entire life. I'm, you know, currently in that process, blah, 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 blah. Little blurb about me. And then I made a video with me there, and I filmed it on my camera with on-camera audio and terrible lighting. And I had a mustache at the time. And I just said like, hey, I'm Josh, I'm a wedding photographer from Adelaide. And if you'd like to come and have wedding photos that look like these. And I put like 6 wedding photos like in the video and changed it. And the Adelaide fucking hated it. They all fucking hated it. They all whinged, and it was all in their little secret society Facebook groups.
You were ahead of the curve already, even back then. That's the kind of thing that real photographers were in the same mindset that I had 2 years ago, that the photograph should do the talking. That's why they post a link that says I'm available, because they're expecting people to click that and to fall in love with the amazing pictures that they see there. And what they don't realize is, and this is terrible, especially for someone, you know, who's the best wedding photographer in the world, but the photographs don't fucking matter. The photographs don't matter to an extent.
Yeah. I am not a great wedding photographer. I'm not the best wedding photographer in Australia. I'm not the best wedding photographer in Adelaide. I'm probably not even the best wedding photographer in my own house. But what I can do is tell a story through my photos, and I can bring my couples on that story, you know, I can share their day because I'm able to kind of like inject myself into it. Am I going to take award-winning photos that get put all over, you know, fucking whatever culty wedding things happening at that time? No, probably not. Am I going to get some fucking ripper photos of my couples hanging out with their friends and family that they're going to cherish forever and actually tell a story? Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to fucking do.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to win an award, and I'm not trying to you know, impress fucking Boogie 2988 or whatever from fucking Threads. I'm trying to book more weddings and have fun.
You're trying
with
to
my
run a
wedding
business.
couples.
You're trying to run a business and have a good time doing it. And you could almost draw a spectrum of the real photographers on one side and the successful business people on the other side. And we're all going to land on that in a different area. But you have to have some business in there. You have to have some way of turning this thing that you enjoy into a sustainable, ongoing business for the next few years, for the next 10 years, however long you want to be in business. And as you say, too many photographers fall onto the wrong side of the spectrum where they just want the photographs to do the talking. And we forget that we're running businesses. I forgot that I was running a business. Now, weirdly, mine's gone off in a completely different direction over the last year and a half. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But wedding photography is a business. If you want to go and do this and buy cameras and have cool laptops and do all this kind of stuff, you have to stand out from the crowd. You have to break through that forest of noise. All the people who just expect the photographs to do the talking and who are just constantly filling up social media with photograph after photograph, post after post. You have to do something that interrupts the scroll. And that's you with your Facebook groups in the middle of 30 comments that say, "Hi, I'm available. Would love to be there for you." There's you, bang, video. This is who I am. Unapologetically posting that with not caring that there's 30 photographers who are going to watch that video and go, "Who's this knobhead? Like, who's he? What's he think he's doing? How embarrassing!" Ooh, and they're going to WhatsApp each other, and they're going to say, "Did you see that idiot on the Facebook community post?" Blah, blah, blah. And while they spend 2 days complaining about it, you have the meeting with that couple, and they say, "Loved your post on Facebook. Like, you're the only person who kind of put your head up there, and we want to get in touch with you." 6 months later, you're photographing the wedding, and the other ones are in Threads complaining that the industry's broken. The industry is not broken at all. There's a lot of photographers, and I think I said this to Summer as well, but community over competition. How can we have a community and also be in competition? Well, the way I square it up in my mind is that there are enough shit photographers who don't care about their couples. That's how I'm defining shit photographers, by the way, not the quality of photograph or the style or anything like that. It's photographers who don't care about their couples. They don't care about their couple's experience. They don't care about making them happy. It's just a monetary exchange. It's just business. Those are the people that I don't care if they go out of business, because I want good photographers who care about their product, who want to create something amazing and give someone else that feeling of joy when they see those photographs in whatever style that they choose to do it, editorial, documentary. They're all the same anyway, just bar a few key pictures that people decide to show online.
The only difference is how high you bounce your flash. It's either straight on them or up on the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. Or, with a remote and a big flash modifier carried by one of your assistants because you're a very expensive photographer. I wish I could pay for an assistant to carry a beauty dish around all day.
Admittedly, I fucking hate those photos. I understand the work that goes into them, and I got friends, Sandra, she's phenomenal at them. But seeing someone running around with a flash in the middle of the day does my head in.
On a stick.
On a stick. And they're paying someone to literally just paying someone to follow you around so that you can have a flash in every single photo. I just don't get it. It's huge in America.
However, if they're trying to create something beautiful for their clients and their heart is in it, I am no
Hmm.
longer triggered by how they do it. As silly as I think it is and how I would never do it that way, and I don't think there's any need for it as such. I'm happy to see someone passionate about their work doing what they think they need to do because I'm a mature
And obviously,
photographer.
there's a
I'm
market
grown
for
up.
it because people are paying for it. It's very big in America. That's a lot of their market is that sort of style. Admittedly, I would probably not survive in America
No.
because I couldn't do it.
But what were we talking about, Josh? Before we started talking about lights on sticks. Um,
We were talking about
shit
how it doesn't matter what
photographers
style. Yeah, shit photographers.
shit photographers who don't care about their couples and they are very negative and they're on threads complaining about stuff. They're the ones I don't care if they go out of business, while the rest of us who suddenly, all the ones who come to my branding and they come to my workshops and they come on in your community and they start to think about who they are and who they're speaking to and how can they serve their ideal customers. Those are the people I want to see them succeed. I want them to book the jobs. And I want to pat myself on the back if I'm involved in any of that situation of helping people find who they are and who they're trying to speak to. Um, there is room to be successful in this industry. There absolutely is. It's only going to get harder on social media to stand out from the crowd. So now's the time to start. If you are just posting photographs and you are just kind of hoping that someone's going to get in touch. I mean, that what you've just said about the Facebook community group is not something I would ever do because I hate my face and I hate listening to myself talk. But that's the kind of thinking that people need to apply to these situations. It's almost like, what's everyone else doing? Okay, I'm going to do the opposite and apply that. And at the moment, there's not very many photographers who are showing their personality in a consistent way and building up who they are post by post online. This is the other thing. You see the odd post that goes viral. You probably see these as you scroll through. You'll see a funny reel or a relatable comment or a controversial opinion. I don't tend to do controversial opinions, but you'll see
Neither.
something.
Never done any.
No, I know you're very level headed. You don't attract that kind of engagement. And you'll see it. And as a little thought experiment, I click on the name and I look on their page because I'm always happy to follow new people who are interesting and might bring something else that I've not thought about before. And I have a little look, and often you will see that they have that one post that's got 10 million views and it'll have done way better than any of my content. And there it is, proudly pinned to the top. The bridesmaid that fell in the fountain, the groomsman that fell out the upstairs window and crushed Nan, whatever it happens to be. There it is, 10 million views, fantastic. And then you see that they followed up that massive success with a set of photographs where they say, "I'm a wedding photographer in Adelaide. If you'd like me to come to your wedding, please get in touch." Then they tried it again. "I am available next year. Please get in touch." Then they tried a joke that didn't get any likes, and then they didn't post anything for 6 weeks because their mindset was completely in the wrong place. They had no intent behind any of their posts. They hadn't had any purpose. They didn't know what they were trying to say. And when that viral post happened, they were not in a position to back it up and to keep backing it up with more posts, more layers of who they are. This is who I am. I'm glad that all these new faces are here. Now I'm going to start nurturing them and I'm going to tell them who I am. There's no thought process. It's just, you'll see it. You click on these accounts. There's one post pinned to the top, a big success, and then very little of who that person is. Very little in the bio. There's no call to action to go and see their website. I don't know what they do. I don't know where they are. Sometimes I don't even know what their name is. When people comment on my page, I have to sometimes click on their profile to find out who I'm replying to because I like to say, "Thank you very much, Steve. Thanks for the lovely comment." And I'll go on their profile and there's no name there. So I have to go onto their website. I go onto their About Me page and there it says, "Hello, I'm Steve Jones from Coventry, and I'm like, right, fuck, finally. And then I go back 3 pages and write a comment. Hello, Steve. Thanks for the awesome comment. Thumbs up. And people don't see that little bit of effort, but that's all to do with my positive mindset. If people have taken the time to leave a comment, I try and comment back or like them. Sometimes I haven't got enough time in the day, but just little things like that. I don't even know who this person is from clicking on their profile, and yet at the top of their page they'll have one reel that's done better than mine have ever done. They'll have one monster success, and they just never backed it up. So I think content and chasing engagement and all that kind of stuff, put all that to one side. What I think people should be doing, and what I'm trying to do, is to make every post a little layer of who you are. Just one little thing, one little layer, one little belief that you have, one little opinion that you have, one way that you work. And every time you post, it doesn't matter if 10 people like it or 1,000 people like it. That is a little layer of your personality that you've added to your page that gives a potential client something to scroll into, to learn a little bit more and send them a little bit closer to getting in touch, to making that inquiry.
And there's two things that have come to my mind in that last discussion. And one of them is, and I say this quite a bit, and I think I've said it online a bit, but I say it to a lot of people, is that you need to be cautious with the stuff that you are putting out. And like the two examples that you mentioned of like the big viral video, and they've had that big viral hit, you know, grandma falling in a fountain, or like the bridesmaid falling over. If you're, and this is why all of the content that I put online, if you go back and you look at all the stuff that I put online, I never talk bad or make a video about another person. So I'm not going, there have been some moments where like fucking bridesmaids have gone ass over tit on the runway, and like that would probably warrant me millions of views, and because we're monetized on Facebook, maybe even thousands of dollars. But the harm that that video would not only cause me, because I'm going, not even cause them, because they're going to see a video of them doing, you know, something bad and they're going to get embarrassed and whatever, but it's also going to cause me harm in that I'm from Adelaide. Like, Adelaide is small. Most people are from a reasonably small place. If you're seen to be shitting on people all of the time, you're not going to get booked because they're going to be worried that something happened. So you're going to get this big negative attention around you, and people are going to start going like, oh, geez, yeah, remember he put that. And even if it's just a slight little hesitation of somebody booking you because they saw that you shat on somebody else's auntie, I don't think that's good. It's not worth the views. And then second point, the viral videos normally do fuck all for you, the person. Some of my most viral, and I talked about this in the last episode, so if you did listen to that, I'm sorry about it, but one of my most viral videos was my flower nanas video, and it's the nanas, and they did the pedals.
I've seen that
like
one.
36 million views and something, and it was on the Drew Barrymore show. It was on all the news things. We were on the radio. We did fucking everything. Did the media rounds. Gained me like 8,000 followers, which is no small feat. But for 36 million views or whatever we got, didn't actually book me that much work or get me that much stuff. Because it's just a viral video about something that happened. There's no connection. There's no nothing. I'm just playing with my boobs.
No, that's
Whereas
fine.
a video of me standing on a chair, but like the videos of me standing up and saying g'day to everybody, and we're like, hey, I'm Josh, the photographer. If you want a photo, come and get me and I'll take the photo. That could get 2 million views on a good one if one really hits. But I'll gain 25,000 followers from something that's got far less views. There was a video I posted just the other day, literally 2 days ago, that I knew wouldn't go viral, but I knew it would do very well for me, the person, is the one that when I'm talking about how I work with neurospicy couples, it's not meant to go viral. It's meant to take the people that are watching the video that are already there and tell them why I'm really good. It's not
exactly.
like we
Yeah.
spoke about this
You're
right at the
nurturing,
start.
you're nurturing your audience at that point.
Ben from Life Through Optics puts it really well. He did a speech at Frame Fest when I was over there. He's a big car photographer. And he said, and I've expanded on it, that your reels are for your reach. That's where you're going to go out and you're going to get as many eyes on your brand as possible. Your photo posts are where you're going to build your community. And this is where I need to be posting more photos, but that's where you're going to build your community. So the people that have seen the content and followed are going to comment, and that's where you're going to build your community and you're going to build your relationship in these photo posts, because they're not going to go viral. And then where I'm adding to it is where you show your personalities and your stories. So that's where you're actually going to get your true little, and that's why I'll kind of go on my little tangents and rants on my stories and that sort of stuff, because that's, again, further nurturing the people that we've brought in.
Absolutely.
But you can be doing this with your couples. That's why I do it with my couples on my stories, because I'm still just a wedding photographer. Like, I'm just trying to be a wedding photographer.
And the stages that you've described there is the bit where, as people who are just getting into making content, they lose heart because they try these different things and they get gradually less and less engagement, or they make a post and it gets less engagement. But the different stages, like you just said, grandma falling into the fountain, 30 million views, fantastic. The one where they're actually going to put their heart on the line now, they're going to tell people why they shoot in a certain way. It's because, when they got married, it was a terrible day, and the photographer was a bastard, and they lost their wedding photographs and all this, and they put everything out there, the story that everyone says, the origin story that you're supposed to do, and it doesn't do very well, and they lose heart with the whole thing, and they give up for a few weeks. But they need to. The engagement and the likes and everything is not important as the type of post that you're trying to make. And those bits, those nurturing posts, are so important to making your account somewhere where people want to hang around. Just because they get less likes than the granny falling into the fountain doesn't make them any less important to a proper social media strategy. And the other thing about Granny falling into a fountain, Granny doing her flowers, is the golden goose of content is the relatable, it's tightly edited, it's relatable, it's got context, it's clear, everything's perfect, but the most important bit at the end is the repeatability. If you can't find a granny falling into a fountain every week, you cannot pin your social media strategy on funny shit that happens at weddings. If you've got a solid strategy and you know what you're trying to do and who you're speaking to, the granny falling into the fountain is just a happy, not for granny, but it's a happy byproduct of a solid strategy. That's the little bit of extra chaos that you're allowed to put on social media. That's just stuff that happens that shows that you've got a fun account, and there it is. But it's not your whole thing. Your whole thing is the nurturing posts. It's showing people what you do. So Mike has got a lovely, repeatable setup. Hey, Mike, how's it going? And he has a little problem, a little photograph issue, and he solves it, and it's lovely. And off he can go on to the next one, and he builds up that layer of trust, and that he's a good guy, and he can educate people, and he's calm, and you feel safe when you land on those videos. You know what to expect most of the time, unless he does something a bit jazzy with it. And they might not get 30 million views each, but he has built up so many layers of content now that someone who lands on his page knows what he's about, knows what they're going to get, and it's a really solid social media strategy for what he wants to do.
He put it out the other day. He said he doesn't want his post to go viral because then it was too entertaining or something, and it wasn't educating in the way. Now, I'm butchering this, but it was something along those lines. Like, if one of his videos goes viral, he's not that happy because it wasn't niche enough or whatever. Like, it's too general.
Yeah.
Whereas he knows who he's trying to look after.
Yeah.
And
Mike has made his way through the forest of noise. He's made.
This is probably going to be the ending of the second episode. This is the climax of our love story, where I want to talk about how you, a 40-year-old wedding photographer, went from, we've spoken about how you were a grumpy old man and you just wanted to be a photographer because you're an artist, and then you pivoted into stories and your like storytelling through your reels, and figuring out that you had this enjoyment for educating and entertaining other photographers and building out this little photographer community that you've got. And then the natural course of action would be to go into education because your audience has shifted, and then bring out a course and keep doing the funny reels, and then every now and then just try to get some more people into your mastermind. But you said, actually, instead of doing that, instead of doing what is expected of me and tried and true, I'm going to bring out a pixelated forest that I'm going to market through carousels that is just the most outrageous
Time-consuming
thing I've ever fucking said. It's just...
And I'm still only halfway through
most...
that. I had a plan, and I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, but it's so out of fucking nowhere. Like, everybody would just be like, keep making your little funny reels, funny man, and then sell your course and you could ride off into the sunset. And you said, no, actually, I'm going to make a metaphorical pub and I'm going to teach people about a forest. And then I'm going to bring out my own pixelated series about this forest.
This makes me sound like
and market it over carousels.
Person.
It's fucking wild, but it's just the most Andrew thing, and it just kind of proves everything else that you've said that brings you to this point that you'll just do your way.
The reason behind it is it's where I always find myself when I said before I was boring myself. It's because I was trying to say the things that are almost what I think is expected of me when I'm telling an origin story of how I started and blah 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 blah. So I bore myself when I find my happy place is when I can make sense of things in my own certain way. When I started doing this education, I'm trying to invent this in my brain as we go. When I started doing the education stuff, I thought, okay, I want to teach people how to make reels better. So I did a couple of one-day workshops, and they were absolutely fine, and I think people enjoyed them. But I realized that after the 6-hour workshop turned into 10 hours, and they asked us to leave through the fire exits because I talked too much, and it was past 6 p.m. It's because all of this real stuff, the framing, the frames per second, the platform that you use, CapCut, transitions, all this shit, I had to preface that with 4 hours of the thought process behind what I'm trying to do. And I think some people were probably horrified that I wasn't going to sit there with a big list of real ideas for them to go off and work out. So I did this workshop where I spoke about who we are, what I'm trying to do, what's the thought process behind things. And I realized that I can't just do the thing that I think people in this position are supposed to do, which is to release a pre-recorded course with a PDF and tell people how to make a good reel. I think I could, but it doesn't fill me with any kind of excitement. I hate to use the P word. It doesn't fill me with any passion. I know everyone loves that word in our industry. I'm passionate about it. And I realized that what I actually enjoyed was going through that first part and actually speaking about what I am trying to do, not how I put the reel together, but what am I trying to do here? And when I realized that was the important thing that I wanted to focus on, I created the webinar for people to come along to, and then I talked at them for what was supposed to be 90 minutes, and it ended up being 4.5 hours. I lost my voice. I found myself at certain places saying things that sounded as though I'd read them myself from a PDF. I was trying to sound professional. I was trying to sound like I had the statistics and studies have shown this, and this is the way that we should do it, and you should tick off these three things and all this kind of stuff. And I found myself, when I got to those areas and I started talking like that, it made me think, you're boring. You're boring. You're boring them. You're boring myself. They didn't say it was boring, but that's what I felt. So I came away from that webinar thinking, I can't just do the thing where come along and I'll teach you about content. I'll show you how to make a reel. I have to do something to keep the narrative going, to keep my creative juices flowing. And I have always been into my Lord of the Rings, my Hobbit, my Dungeons and Dragons, my Warhammer Fantasy Quest, my Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, all that kind of stuff growing up. And that's what I get. I'm interested in that. It's exciting. I like the storytelling aspect of it. So I thought, why not have the inn as a manifestation of what I'm trying to do? And it's not just an inn where we meet up to discuss this stuff. This inn is literally outside the forest of noise. On this side of the forest, we are in obscurity. We are at the beginning of our journey, or we are established photographers who don't really know how to navigate this world of social media. But this is where we are. We are obscure. And we need to get through this forest. On the other side of this forest of noise, this forest of distractions, this forest of people who all look the same, and they use the same presets that they all bought from the same big name photographer, and we all use AI to edit our photographs now, and we all have ChatGPT to write our captions, and this forest is full of distractions and sameness, and will make us lose our way. So on the other side of this forest is renown. This is where you are known and trusted, and this is where you will find your clients. Clients only book people, usually, who are on this side of the forest. Occasionally, you might find the odd client wandering through the forest who picks you up, and it's all happy days. But most of the action, most of the business is on that side of the forest. So I'm in the inn, and very quickly I realized that I was not going to take people through the forest. My job is to sit in that inn as the wizard, as the guide, and to help them understand the dangers that they're about to face, to help them get their map together, to get their quest items, to figure out how they're going to navigate this forest. I'm the guide that's going to help them go from this side to the other side. I'm going to arm them with the weapons that they need. And when I hold this very nerdy manifestation in my head, whenever I start to go off piste and sound a bit boring, and I lose track and I feel like I'm not being professional enough, or whatever it happens to be, I bring it back to the inn. So I literally have the fireplace behind me with the candles and all this kind of shit, because this is where I am, and the people who are joining me are on a quest, and this is our quest. This is what we have to do. This is how we have to think about things. And it really worked. I've done 2 of them now. I'm doing one more next week on Tuesday. And it really helped get my thoughts in order. I have a very chaotic mind, and I think about lots of different things all the time. Most of them irrelevant to running a business, but I need something to keep me on track. So the brand inn, this safe place outside the forest, that's my little place now. And I'm going to invite people in, photographers who want to get through this forest to the other side. And it's as I think about it, I can interpret more shit that happens to us I can interpret it into different aspects. So the big accounts, the photographers who have made their way through the forest, because people often say, well, all this stuff that you're saying, I don't see X, Y, and Z photographers doing that. I don't see the Jose Villa telling everyone his life story. I don't see this guy doing that. Where's his moment of vulnerability? or what's her origin story. I don't see that, but they're through the forest of noise. They got through that forest in their own way, with their ability, with the quality of their photographs, with with their approach to work, with the weddings that they do. However they did it on their journey, which took time. Nobody went through the forest overnight. They got to the other side. When you're through the forest of noise, the same rules do not necessarily apply. You can still fall into the forest if you get through. You have to work at staying through the forest. But when you're on the other side, different things apply to you. So what we have to do is assume that everyone on our side of the forest is in the same starting point. We're in obscurity. We're at the start of our social media journey. What are the key things we have to do? What are the fundamentals that we have to get right in order to travel through this forest? Stop worrying about the big accounts on the other side. They do things differently. They're in a different area to us right now. They're in the next zone. Maybe I'll talk about the next zone when I figure that shit out, and I can have big accounts coming and doing workshops with me instead. But for now, that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a little group of adventurers ready to face the dangers of the forest, get to the other side so they can start getting the clients that they deserve. And that was the thinking behind it. The retro pixel stuff pretty much came from me having the love of, I mean, I know everyone loves it since Stranger Things came out, but I've always had the love of the 80s, early 90s vibe. I've always loved that. And then Stranger Things came out and everyone seemed to love it. And I thought, oh, fuck, well, it's a bit too common now. However, Instagram seemed to go in a slightly different way. And the big thing at the moment, when on my explore page anyway, is people who are trying to take this scrapbook approach to their slideshows. I don't know if you've seen these. There's some huge accounts out there who make their whole personality these scrapbook type things. So everything's handwritten. It's very squiggly, very rough around the edges, hand-drawn elements, photographs kind of tagged in, and that's their carousels, which I really loved at first. When I saw one of these, I thought, I can see that working for the way that I want to do things. Over the next few weeks, I saw about 50 accounts using the same Canva templates, and I thought, well, I'm not doing that. I can't do the same thing as everyone else. What I didn't see was anyone running with the retro pixel idea. So I thought, fuck it, let's try that. That led me down a rabbit hole of 8-bit pixel drawing techniques, art programs, animation programs. It took me 3 days to make one carousel, which is why
Did you do all the animation yourself?
Yes, all on either DaVinci Resolve, or in a program called Procreate. And there's another program called Sprite. I'm not sure on the pronunciation of that. But yeah, everything's animated myself. Most of it's drawn myself or paid for by another artist and downloaded in the legal manner and then used as assets. I actually buy a lot of stuff from a computer game site, where people buy assets to make computer games. Except I thought they'd work on carousels as well. So I download them and use that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I don't know the reason. It's just stuff that I liked and I didn't see anyone else doing it. So I thought I'd mess around with it. I didn't realize how detailed you had to get and how long the stupid things would take to make. I didn't realize that when I started on it. I realized after doing the first 5 that this was a big job. So I'm still trying to figure out how I can maybe strip it down to a more sensible approach.
That's why I thought you'd hired someone to do it for you, because learning how to, or you had a background in like programming or computer animation.
No. I'd learn everything from YouTube and by messing around and by spending far too long fucking around with things. But yeah, it takes a long time to do. So I had an idea of doing 30 posts, 31 posts, like a month's worth of posts. I think it's taken me about 6 months so far, and I'm halfway through. So that series has kind of fell off a little bit, but we'll be coming back. we're coming up to winter now, which is my quiet time, so we'll come back to that. But
I haven't asked a single one of my questions.
Go on, ask some questions.
Oh, that's right. We need to wrap up because it's fucking 11:30 p.m. and I got to shoot a 12-hour wedding day tomorrow.
Shit, dude.
Can you tell everybody in the world who you are, where they can find you? You can't plug your workshop because this won't be out before you will have already done it by the time this episode comes out. You can plug the next one. You go to the next one. I think you need to host one that's a little bit more Australia friendly, because I wanted to come to the last one, but it was screening at like 3 a.m. and I know that yours are scheduled for 90 minutes, but they do go longer. So I was like, if it starts at 3,
I know.
and it goes for 5 hours.
I really need to work on my rabbiting. But I feel that in this world of polished content and perfect captions and chat GPT scripts, auto cues and all that shit, I feel that by just talking to people off the cuff with a loose kind of thread that runs through it, and occasionally try and bring things back to the brand in itself and what we're trying to do, I feel like people resonate with that more. Rough around the edges. I'm sure I've repeated myself about 18 times already in our little chat, but I resonate with stuff like that far more than I resonate with a polished, pre-recorded script. So yeah, 4.5 hours. I am going to work on that. It's meant to be 90 minutes. I'll try and do an Australia-friendly version. Or we could do...
Even
we could do a little
bit more Australia-friendly. Just a little bit more friendly.
I'd love to do a joint one with you one day, Josh.
Yeah,
that would be quite fun.
This is where we could talk about the fact that there might actually be a Joshua Huggett Media and Andrew Keher workshop in May next year.
Are we allowed to mention that yet? Are we allowed to mention?
Well, yeah, because I confirmed my attendance at the thing that I'm going to that I can't say out loud, but I've confirmed my end of things. So I am going. I will be in Europe for May of 2026.
Well,
and I'm definitely going to visit my sister in London. So,
well, I've already crossed out May in my diary. We're going to figure something out, but I think, and Andrew Keher, Josh Huggett, we'll work on who goes top billing in that combination at the time.
You, because it's your homeland.
And we're going to do something. I don't know whether it'll be a 1-day thing. Maybe it'll be a 2-day thing where we all go for a big piss up in between.
I was thinking what we could do, and this has got... Oh, no, we could talk about it here. But I was thinking if we go to that Airbnb that you said, and then we just stay there. But I was thinking we could stay there for like 2 nights, 3 nights, but then host like 3 different workshops, or like the same workshop 3 times, and that way we could just do like 3 one-day workshops, but make the tickets way more accessible so lots of people can come.
That's a good. I think that's a good idea.
That way we can see more people.
Yeah.
And that way we don't need to drive every night. We can go to the pub afterwards, and people can come to the pub if they want, and we can have a yarn. And then we wake up the next day and we just host another workshop, and that way we can keep the tickets accessible. We don't need to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Come to this place. We will bring a couple. We can take some photos and we will talk about some stuff. And then we'll just lean into the natural landscape.
Sounds like a plan.
That was my thought process when you sat in that Airbnb. I was like, yeah, we could just fucking shack up here.
Lovely part of the world. Oldie worldy pubs, actual inns, taverns for us to sit in by the log fire.
How far away is it for me to get to Diddley Squat Farm while I'm over there? Just a little. How far away is Diddley Squat Farm? Can I just pop over?
Where's Diddley Squat Farm?
I don't know. Jeremy Clark's. It's near Chippy Norton.
Oh, that's a real place.
Yeah, it's Jeremy Clarkson's farm.
Oh, is it? Oh, I don't watch all that. That's well, it's a couple of hours drive, I think. It's not too bad. Although in England, if it's a couple of hours drive, that's a mission. I realise that your country is slightly bigger than ours, so you're like have more of an American approach. So if someone lives 6 hours away, you're like, yeah, it's only 6 hours. We'll set off in the morning.
Mike lives 6 hours from me, and we're like, we could probably do that in a day. Like, go over, have a coffee, and come back.
I can't get my brain around that. I've got family who live 30 minutes away, and I haven't seen them in 12 months because I'm not fucking driving
Just don't
30
bother.
minutes to go and see them.
Well, see, that's very similar to Adelaide. So where I live, you don't travel for anything. Like
Yeah.
when I moved down, I lived with my parents and we all lived in that same area. And then I moved with my wife half an hour away, and my family brought their passports when they first came to visit us because they're like, oh, we didn't know if we get checked at the borders on the drive down here. And then we just don't see each other because it's 33 minutes to my mum's house.
Too far?
But like most wedding days for me are an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So I'll just drive for an hour and a half.
Well, then it doesn't really matter where you stay then. It's all within 3 hours of London, I think. If you go and see your sister, come up to the Airbnb, should be about 3 hours drive, I reckon. And we'll just kick it in the countryside.
Done. Andrew, Keher, Josh Huggett Media, and maybe some other special guest workshop. May 2026.
Working on
Put it in your calendar. I can tell you the dates, actually. It's around... Fuck, it's late, Andrew. We really did waffle, didn't we?
I know, I'm sorry.
It will be between May 7 and May 14, 2026. They're the dates that I'll be over there. Originally I was flying in for this other thing and then flying out the next day. But then I realized that my wedding for May 9th cancelled. So I've actually got a week off. So I'm just going to go see people.
Well, as a pair of social media experts, we've actually fucked up the whole thing because we're supposed to tease that something's happening. This
is the teasing.
You're supposed to drop it in the story. Something is coming. Like a pair of boots stood on the grass, and then
true,
and then it'd be a pair of. Oh, I've just thought. What I'll do my slides and socks on my grass, and then you do your Crocs and socks on like. Do you have grass in Adelaide? Stood on whatever, and
there you go.
The famous Crocs, and then we figure something out. Except we've ruined it now because we've already mentioned it. So, but we'll sort something out.
We're 2 hours 45 minutes into this 60-minute podcast. I don't think anybody's making it this far in.
No, I think that they probably bailed after 20 minutes of me going off on a tangent about origin stories or whatever.
No, it's good. It's a different point of view. Everybody's different. That's why it's fucking great. Can you tell everybody where to find you? And then I'm going to bed, Andrew.
Yes, you can find me at Andrew Keher on Instagram. That's AndrewKeher, or online at andrewkeher.co.uk. And if you want workshop information, it's learn.andrewkeher.co.uk. That's a subdomain. That took me 3 days to work out how to do a subdomain on my website. So I want people to go there and appreciate the fact that I did that myself and I didn't hire anyone off Fiverr to do it for me. That's where you can find me.
Good boy. My name's Josh Huggett. If you're still here and you don't know who I am, I'm Josh. Thanks for listening. Until I see you.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
No worries. Till I see your faces on Instagram again, just let it be known that I love you very fucking much.
Can we do it again when I'm more polished and I'm not a complete, rambler?
And I haven't had a fucking root canal.
Yeah, we'll do it again.